right, the court is calling the case of the City of Kentwood versus Erica Collins, case number 19-509240M. You are Erica Collins?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, you were previously convicted by this court of the offense of retail fraud, third degree. You were placed on probation by my predecessor, Judge Kelly. And now it is alleged that you have violated your probation in a number of ways. You were mailed a copy of the petition. It alleges that you failed to report on February 2nd, 2021, and that you failed to abstain from the use of alcohol and marijuana. Conviction upon either one of these allegations, ma'am, could lead to a revocation of your probation and sentencing up to the maximum allowed under the law for this offense. And that is 93 days in jail for a retail fraud third degree. I believe that is what the underlying offense was. Right, so that's up to 93 days in jail. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to the assistance of an attorney. Although you may have to repay some of the expense, the court might appoint an attorney to represent you if the court determines that you cannot afford an attorney on your own. And you have the right to a contested hearing on these allegations. At that hearing, the probation officer would have to find a preponderance of evidence that you violated your probation. That is, they would have to have a better case than your case that you violated in any of these ways. Are you asking the court to appoint an attorney for you for a contested hearing on these allegations?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Ma'am, are you working?
Yes.
Where do you work?
I work at Popeyes in Greenville.
Do you receive any public assistance, like food assistance, Medicaid, or Section 8?
No.
How old are you, ma'am?
I am 19.
All right, I will appoint the Kent County Office of the Defender to represent you, ma'am.
Okay.
Is your address still 10774 Wildwood Drive?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there an apartment number?
No.
And what's a good phone number for you?
616-856-9869.
All right, I'm going to give your contact information to the public defender. They'll reach out to you regarding the hearing date in this matter. We'll enter a not guilty plea for you on these allegations, and we will set this for a hearing on April 22nd at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
All right, ma'am. In the meantime, you must continue to comply with the directives of your probation officer, keeping in touch with her, and abiding by all of the terms set in your probation order. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. We will see you back here on the 22nd, ma'am. That will be in person.
Okay.
All right. You're all set. You may go. Thank you.
Thank you.
The court is calling the case of the state of Michigan versus Keyshawn Wright, case number 19-507440M. This matter is scheduled for a probation violation hearing this afternoon. For a contested hearing, it appears. Is that correct? Mr. Bastians, Mr. Wright was arraigned on this matter on March 12th, but we adjourned the original date for hearing until today. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
All right. And Mr. Wright appears with his attorney, Attorney Kurt Oberholzer. Mr. Oberholzer, are we prepared to proceed to a contested hearing today?
Your Honor, I have had a chance to meet with Mr. Wright and discuss these violations. At this time, Your Honor, I do believe Mr. Wright wishes to offer a guilty plea with regard to these violations, Your Honor. And furthermore, Mr. Wright and I also discussed the fact that he does have a right to hold a contested hearing regarding those violations, Your Honor. However, I do believe Mr. Wright wishes to enter a guilty plea with the understanding that in doing so, he would be forever giving up and waiving all rights to move forward and have a contested hearing, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Oberholzer. Is that correct, Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and you previously received a copy of the petition. There are 6 allegations on here. Did you review that with your attorney?
Yes.
All right, as to the allegation that you failed to appear on January 10th, January 29th, 2020, as directed, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
And as to the allegation that you failed to pay fines, costs, and oversight fees, which currently total $606, how do you plead?
Guilty.
As to the offense that you failed to complete 40 hours of community service work or serve 5 days in jail, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And as to the allegation that you failed to complete a shoplifter's alternative program, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And to the offense that you failed to attend school as directed and provide proof of same, how do you plead?
I attended school, but I just didn't show that I attended school to him because our school had shut down during the time because of the corona. So I never really did like our school. We didn't get our school started until like the mid-September.
All right, we'll strike that from the petition at this time. What about the allegation that you failed to seek and maintain employment as directed? How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
During that time, I had a job at McDonald's for like 5 months.
You had a
But
job
I got
where?
fired. Huh?
Where did you have a job?
McDonald's
McDonald's.
in Kenwood.
All right, sir. Conviction upon any one of these allegations can result in revocation of your probation and incarceration up to the maximum allowed under the law. You were advised of that right when you were arraigned back on March 12th. And you have pled guilty to counts 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let me just ask you what happened. Why, failing to appear, maybe you missed a couple of appointments. You didn't pay fines and costs, but you just told me you were employed. And you didn't do the community service or the shoplifters alternative program. Why?
It was at the time, other stuff was going on with me, and I just couldn't do it. There was a lot going on with me, so I just couldn't get to it.
All right, Mr. Bastians, I'd be pleased to hear your comments.
Your Honor, in addition to the counts listed, he was also convicted of 3 new charges while on probation. And he's also pending a 4th additional charge of domestic violence out of 63rd District Court. His mother had actually called me on several occasions asking for help and basically saying he had told her he's not going to do this. And that he was out doing things that he shouldn't be doing, and she was fearful that he might be in trouble again. And sure enough, he has been. So the recommendation is to revoke probation, serve jail, pay fines and costs in full, or serve additional jail and revoke his HYTA status.
Thank you. Mr. Oberholzer?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, Mr. Wright certainly understands that he didn't do what he needed to do on probation, Your Honor. It has been a challenging year for Mr. Wright with the COVID pandemic. It's been challenging for all of us, certainly. But I would like to mention, Your Honor, that when meeting with Mr. Wright, I mentioned the fact that he was sentenced under the Holmes-Lethal Training Act, and he actually had no idea what that was. So I did have to explain to Mr. Wright what that was, and the fact that he would be able to benefit from this charge falling off his record if he were to complete probation successfully. And Your Honor, I think if Mr. Wright would have had a better understanding in the first place, maybe with regard to the Holmes-Lethal Training Act, possibly maybe he would have taken this a little bit more seriously and gotten these things done and kept in touch with his probation officer a little bit more. But it's not all negative, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, as he did mention, he was employed at McDonald's for a period of time. I think he just didn't realize he needed to verify that with his probation officer, unfortunately. After his employment term with McDonald's, Mr. Wright did secure additional employment through A&W. Unfortunately, he did lose that job with A&W due to the fact he was incarcerated, due to the fact he was picked up on a bench warrant with regard to this probation violation. So he did unfortunately lose that job, but I do believe Mr. Wright is actively looking for new employment, and hopefully he will find something here soon. Mr. Wright also indicated he is in school, Your Honor. He's currently attending the Covenant House Academy. My understanding is he just has 9 more credits to go here, 1 semester left, and then he will have successfully earned his high school diploma. Mr. Wright has some great goals moving forward. He's interested in possibly earning a certification in a trade. So I think those are great goals, and I highly encourage Mr. Wright to pursue those here moving forward. At this point in time, Your Honor, I do believe Mr. Wright, when he was originally booked on this probation violation bench warrant, which I believe was on March 11th, 2021, I do believe he was held at least 15 days until he was bonded out. I'm not certain as to whether or not this probation violation was holding him at that time. I do believe there is a bond out of the Granville District Court for a pending charge potentially, which he was being held on. But nonetheless, he did not bond out until I believe 15 days later after he was booked from the March 11th, 2021. So we would ask the court to take that into consideration, potentially give Mr. Wright credit for the 15 days that he did serve in the Kent County Correctional Facility before being released. And we would respectfully also ask at this time, Your Honor, to possibly continue Mr. Wright on probation at this time. He's a young individual. I suspect he didn't understand the gravity and the importance of having the Holmes-Lethal Training Act. We would ask this court to give Mr. Wright one last chance on probation here and not to revoke his HIDTA status. And I'm very hopeful that if he is granted another chance by this court, that he would surely take that opportunity and prove to this court that he can get his schooling done, work, do the things he needs to do to show this court he means business. And so with that being said, Your Honor, we would respectfully ask this court to consider a continuation of probation, not to revoke HIDTA status at this time, and allow Mr. Wright a chance to prove that he can do this, Your Honor. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Oberholzer. Mr. Wright, I'm going to want to hear your comments, but Mr. Bastians, can you help me clarify his other offenses? I see these notes here in the file. Are these convictions?
The first 3 in 61st District Court are convictions. The 1 in 63rd District Court is still pending. The domestic violence is still pending. So he's been convicted of 3, pending a 4th. And his, you had given him a 5,000 PR bond on our case on March 12th.
These offenses, is this listed? He got fines and costs in each one of these?
That's correct.
And the new DV is pending. Does he have any felony charges or convictions?
That I don't know. I thought he was on probation in another court when he started here, but I don't recall. I don't have those details.
All right, and the 15 days that he's talking about, his original probation order included 15 days with 15 days credit for time served. That was upon his initial arrest. Has
When
he
he
done,
was sentenced in this court, Your Honor, he was pending a retail fraud out of 59th. I don't know the result of that case.
has he done, other than those first 15 days, has he done any other meaningful time on this?
Not on our case, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Wright, I'd love to hear your comments before I impose sentence. Is there anything you'd like to share with the court? Oh, no. Well, we will adjourn to see if he rejoins us. We'll just recess for a few moments.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Wright, thank you for joining us.
My phone had died. My bad.
You know what? We have technical issues on and off all day long. We are back on the record in the matter of the City of Kentwood versus Keyshawn Wright. I was asking Mr. Wright for anything he would like the court to consider before I impose sentence.
Well, I'm looking for another job. School-wise, we're on spring break. I only have 9 more credits to go, and I'll be done. I'm looking for an apartment. The 63rd court, I'm fighting that case because one, I didn't put my hands on the person that they said I put my hands on.
Mr. Wright, Mr. Wright, I'm just going to cut you off. I just don't want you discussing any of the details of that domestic violence case. Sorry to cut you off. I just don't discuss that case, okay?
Your attorney's trying to protect you there.
Okay, I got court for that on the 27th. My other cases, I'm straight. I got to pay fines, costs, and that's it.
Sir, I have a copy of this probation order with your signature on it, which means back in November of 2019, you knew that you were on probation, but Mr. Bastian says that you never once reported.
No, I did not. I did not report. That's my fault. I didn't report any of it. At the time, it was just I was going through issues. So,
How old are you, sir?
18, going to turn 19 May 9th.
So you were 17 when you were placed on probation, is that right? You know, 17 is a hard age. Haida would have done a great deal of success for you had you been able to stick with it and, you know, not picked up these other convictions. Were you going to school at the same time these other charges were, you know, lodged against you?
Yes.
Do you live with your mom right now?
No, I have been living with my mom since last year.
Where do you live? Who do
I
you
live
live
with
with?
my, live with my dad. I've been living with my mom since January of last year. I want to say.
If I leave you on probation, sir, are you gonna report? Are you gonna do these things?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's different now that makes you so certain and confident that you're gonna do these things?
What's different now is what's the point of not doing it? Like, what's the point of not doing it? There's no point. Only thing gonna keep happening if I don't do it, I'm just gonna keep getting life back up and it's gonna keep making it worse. And I got other charges, so it's just gonna make it worse if I just not doing it. It's just gonna make it worse. So what's the point of not doing it? I'm trying to look for a job. I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do now. At the time of when I was 17, it was just funny games for me. But now I see that I'm older now. It's just gonna make it worse. I'm getting 19, finna turn 19 May 9th. What's the point of not doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
Mm. All right, we've got a little bit more time on this, Mr. Bastian's, correct? Through November? Mr. Bastians, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was just looking for it, Your Honor, as amended order. I've got a lot of paperwork on him.
Mhm. It looks to me like his original sentence date was November 13th of 2019. It also looks to, in full disclosure, Mr. Overholzer, it also looks to me like Judge Kelly revoked his HIDA status back in June of 2020.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Your Honor.
Mhm. That is when he failed to appear for the first probation violation arraignment that was scheduled in this matter. And then, does that mean, Mr. Bastians, that we are still dealing, these are all allegations that were lodged against him back in February of 2020, which is more than a year ago. And it's been all this time for us to catch up with Mr. Wright and for him to check in with us?
Yep, he, yes, his first appearance was March 12th on this violation of this year.
All right, Mr. Wright, I am going to extend your probation for 6 months.
Wait. So I'm on probation for 6 months, or you added 6 months on?
Well, you have at least 6 months to go on probation. The thing about probation is it gets longer or shorter depending upon how well you do on it. But I want you to understand specifically the reasons that I'm going to extend your probation. I hear you saying, I was 17 when I was placed on probation, and the facts that are before the court indicate that most of your failing to do these things was back when you were 17, maybe right after you turned 18. You are a little bit older now, not much, but a little bit, and at an age where you truly could benefit from oversight and assistance, tools, structure, accountability. And those are all things that Mr. Bastians is very good at offering probationers. And so I want you to work with him. None of the conditions of your probation are going away. You just have a lot smaller time to get them done now. You have to do the Shoplifters Alternative Program. You have to do the 40 hours of community service. And if you don't get those things done within the first 90 days, you're going to be back in front of me and I'll revoke your probation and put you in jail. But I want you to understand that it's more important to me that you have support in taking it seriously and doing the adult things that you just described to me than it is that I punish you. I want you to be supported and I want you to be successful. So we want to give you the tools. I will give you one more chance. You never really got started here. Get started, do the things you're supposed to do. At least you won't have this on your record because, sir, if you want to be a successful adult, having a theft offense, well, I'm sorry, you know what, I misspoke because Judge Kelly revoked your HIDA. So I guess that's already out the window. But sir, I want the purpose of sentence, which is rehabilitation, to come into play here. I want you to really get the tools that you need so that you can move forward. If you're back here in 90 days because you still haven't reported, your orders are still unsigned, and you haven't done your community service, we'll have a much different conversation. You told me you would do it. It's time for you to step up and do it. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor. Where do I do community service at?
Well, you are going to talk with Mr. Bastians. And so what I am going to do is two things. I'm extending your probation for 6 months. I am adding a fee for the court-appointed attorney who has helped you out for this. And I'm going to place you into a breakout room right now with Mr. Bastians so you can schedule your next appointment and so that you can schedule your community service. Then I'm going to have you come back to this Zoom room and I'm going to move you in with one of my cashiers so you can make your first payment and a payment plan. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Is there anything further in this matter, Mr. Bastians?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Overholzer?
No, nothing from me at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, we are all set. I'm gonna, Jim, can you meet with him now?
I can.
All right. Mr. Wright, you'll need to use the breakout room invitation. There you go. All right, Keyshawn, now I'm gonna move you into a breakout room with the cashier.
Okay.
Then you can go.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kapersky, can you hear me?
I just texted her.
I did too.
That you were asking. I can hear you.
Hey, and you've got your Zoom working too.
I know.
That's amazing. Hey, Mariah Woodenberg, is that being adjourned?
No, I told her that she has to be here before 4 o'clock today. But if she fails to appear, then we'll most likely do the order for show cause for the 22nd.
Well, her charge falls under one of the exceptions.
Oh, yes.
So we'll put that on the record probably about 3:45 because we do have sobriety court starting at 4 with participants arriving. We'll give her a little bit more time though.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yes, the court can hear you.
The she was supposed to send me to somebody.
I did. So if you look at the breakout room button, so if you click back where it says breakout rooms, you should have an option to join cashier Janelle.
Oh, I see it.
All right, there you go.
Yep. Hello? Somebody hear me?
Yes, Mr. Wright, were you able to meet with Janelle?
No, she ain't answer. Like it didn't work.
Okay, well, here, let's try this. I will send you to my other cashier. Her name is Jackie.
Okay.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Yep.
That's because apparently